So, how is China welcoming American businesses and at the same time, America is sanctioning Chinese businesses? Well, millennials, I've been asking myself this question for the past days. And now here's the backstory. A few days ago, the Chinese president Xi Jinping welcomed top American businessmen in Beijing, including Blackstone founder, Bloomberg chair, FedEx president, Qualcomm's president and CEO, which is a major producer of semiconductors. All these men were welcomed in Beijing a couple of days back, and they held discussions with the Chinese president Xi Jinping. And we should understand that this isn't the first time that the Chinese president is meeting with top businessmen both in China and in the USA. Now, in the past, he has met with top businessmen like Bill Gates and Elon Musk, and he has, of course, had multiple discussions with these businessmen. Just last week, Apple's Tim Cook was also in Shanghai to open Apple's biggest flagship store in Asia, the biggest in mainland China. And Tim Cook later on met many mainland businessmen and even top government officials here in China. And by the way, guys, this even reminds me, if China was collapsing, do you think all this would happen? Would the biggest store be opened? Because from what I understand, any business that wants to make profit would not want to invest in a collapsing economy. Now, we need to understand that with the population of over 1.4 billion people, China is still not just a production base, but it's also a huge market for foreign goods. Nevertheless, guys, Apple sales in China have dropped significantly over the past months, probably due to lots of competition from other companies like Huawei, of course. And I believe opening the store in Shanghai is a way to boost sales in the mainland. Now, guys, all these happenings here in mainland China, from the multiple meetings with the president and American businessmen to the meetings with top government officials and launching the new stores by American businesses here in China, of course, like the Apple in Shanghai, is in sharp contrast to what top Chinese businesses like Huawei and BYD are currently experiencing in the United States, including TikTok, for example, which a few weeks ago, I think I made a video on that. You can check it on this channel, where the US Senate has been grilling Biden's TikTok CEO multiple times.
Have you ever been a member of the Chinese Communist Party?
Senator, I'm Singaporean. No.
Have you ever been associated or affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party?
No, Senator. Again, I'm
Okay.
Singaporean.
And placing sanctions on, of course, Huawei, BYD, and possibly TikTok, which of course limits Chinese businesses in the United States. So when we look at this, despite everything happening with the Chinese businesses in the US, here in China, it's completely different. Many businesses from around the world are coming to China and signing deals. And of course, China is very open to them. Now, there's a long list of Chinese businesses in the US that have been sanctioned over the years. Now, despite all the heavy US tariffs and sanctions on Chinese imports and restrictions on Chinese tech, the Chinese president still emphasized a couple of days back on a mutually beneficial economic tie between China and the United States, which of course is in sharp contrast to what the government officials in the US say about Chinese businesses. Now, which business model is the best? Meeting business leaders and discussing with them, or grilling them and asking questions while saying that they are all security threats? Well, for me, I'll take the former. I believe China's strategy of collective growth is the reason why China has contributed to about 30% of the global economic growth in 2023. So personally, I feel like the US definitely needs to copy this strategy from China more often, and that is how I believe the world will definitely move forward. Now, another question is this: why does the United States consider every Chinese business or tech in the USA as a security threat? We need to understand that China has one of the biggest markets and manufacturing in the world, and almost every company wants to do business with them. So if China decides to start acting fully like the United States, I'm sure the whole world will be in turmoil and there will be so much trouble in the business milieu. Of course, globally. The truth is that the American market is huge, just like the Chinese market, and they buy all types of products from around the world. So we need to understand that all the sanctions that are placed in the US by government officials definitely affects many business owners in the USA. Reason why Nvidia has been trying to find ways to go around the sanctions placed on China by the United States in order to be able to sell most of these semiconductors to China. But of course, it's not easy because they only had to sell lower capacity chips due to all the multiple sanctions placed by the US government. Now guys, the truth is that since the pandemic, China's growth got affected. And of course, many countries around the world got affected the same way. And the recent troubles with the real estate sector here in China didn't make it any better. But many top global economies in the world, like the US and the UK, have also had their own fair share of troubles in nearly every sector in recent years. Now, despite multiple reports about the collapse of China, why is the USA still worried about China? Because I believe normally if something is collapsing, I'm guessing you wouldn't have to worry much about it, but it seems like the United States is doubling down on the sanctions against China. So why is the US still trying to stop Chinese businesses in the West? Not just in the United States, but even across Europe. Now guys, at the end of the day, we as everyday citizens, that's you and I, we need to ask ourselves this question. What do the top business owners or the top 1% know that we do not? I'm guessing they do not follow the fake news or the Western media like many other people in the West. It's all about the business and a mutually beneficial interest. And I believe that's the reason why China keeps on pushing for a mutually beneficial business cooperation. Now, guys, the point is that if these top American businessmen who came to Beijing and had a meeting or drank some tea with the Chinese president Xi Jinping didn't see any need for that, they wouldn't need to come. Or if all the fake news we hear in the media was actually true about China's economy collapsing or so much trouble happening, I'm not sure that most of these American businesses would even need to come to China for any reason. So I believe that China understands what they are actually doing. Now, the question I have for you watching this video is this. From your personal analysis, which nation might be standing stronger in the long run when it comes to foreign businesses and foreign policies? Will it be a nation that signs more deals with local and foreign businesses, or a nation that is mainly based on sanctioning more businesses? Now, just like the CEO of Blackstone, Stephen Schwarzman, said after the meeting in Beijing, and I quote, "Differences will always exist because people are different, and even people from the same family are different too. But we should seek common ground and build more consensus. This is true between nations and as well as between family members." End of quote. I hope all the tensions and strained relations between not just the USA and China, but all around the world in general, can be limited for the greater good of the everyday citizens like you and I. Because personally, I do not think we as citizens should suffer for the decisions of our governments. We need to follow a free global trade where everyone can trade freely and, of course, understand the concepts of business. Now, feel free to like this video so more people can see and understand the reality of the global politics between China, the US, and China, and the world. And of course, if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more weekly videos like this. Remember, this is Willene. See you next time.